Over the past couple years, we've seen a shift of at-home crypto miners who would conventionally mine with their GPUs, earn some passive income, shift over to doing quote-unquote AI compute, which is really just providing your GPU up for compute, and somebody over the internet is renting it and running some type of compute workload on it. It might be a rendering job. It might be trying to hack a Bitcoin private key. It might be mining themselves. It might be, trying to solve the Satoshi puzzle. It could be a number of things. And it's kind of the avenue a lot of people with GPUs have taken since over the past year and a half or so. Mining profits have been pretty much non-existent. And so they're taking that hardware and they're providing it and making some passive income using it by renting it out to other people. So instead of trying to chase mining profitability, anything like that, you're letting other people do that. And you're earning, in some cases, you're earning crypto. There are some decentralized compute projects. In other cases, you are earning fiat value paid through conventional means of maybe PayPal, maybe through Stripe. And we've seen a big shift, especially over the past 6 months or so, of a lot of miners really ramping up, buying a lot of high-end GPUs, and deciding to take a gamble on whether AI is worth it or not. So what I did is I saw kind of all this happening, and there wasn't really a tool out there that really easily aggregated together data from the top platforms. So I put together a utility, and if you guys aren't aware, recently I actually had the opportunity to pick up 2 pallets worth of computers. So I got about 50 computers, and I actually put these on some AI platforms. And some of these had GPUs in them, some didn't. I had some low-profile GPUs sitting around. I'm working on accumulating some more. But essentially, I'm taking these 50 computers and putting them on various compute platforms to see how well they can do. I got a really good deal on all of the systems. It ended up being about less than $10 a system is what it came out to for me. And so kind of seeing how long it's going to take me to make my money back and just see how sustainable it might be. So hopping on over, what I did is I created, over on my website at retromiketech.com, I created basically some aggregators for various compute platforms. So what you're looking at here is the summary page. So if you hop on over and you go to the GPU rental summary, you're going to see this, and this is going to list all of the GPU configurations that are currently on either Vast AI, Okta, QuickPod, or Clore AI. And with this information, you can see kind of what the average CPU cores and threads are, the average RAM, the average upload bandwidth, download bandwidth, how many are rented, how many are not rented, what the average min and max rented prices are, and this is all real-time data, and the average min-max unrented time, as well as the platform it's on. So if we take a look at something like an A2000, we can come in here, we can apply a filter. I'm just going to say A2000 here, and we can see there are various configurations. So if I only cared about the 12 gig models, I could come in, do this. This will show me the 12 gigs, and I can see, okay, none of them are actually rented on Okta or QuickPod. Now with this one, and we'll get into this when I hop on over the Vast section, Vast just has the A2000. They don't, in the model name, they don't distinguish between the 12 gig and the 6 gig. So it kind of buries it in the stats a little bit. So if you take a look at like this one by A2000, this is a mixture of 6 gig and 12 gig prices. And you can kind of see there are 16 rented, 18 unrented. And the prices that you're going to see on this page are daily prices, not hourly prices. And so if there's a specific GPU that you may have, let's just take as an example a 3080. And we can come over, we can look at 3080, And all the columns are groupable, so you can drag and drop the column up into the header. It'll group by that, which will be more advantageous once we get over to some of the other screens where we're showing a detailed breakout. It doesn't do a whole lot on the summary because we're already kind of looking at a summarized view. But if you wanted to take a look here and see, okay, if you had let's say a 1x3080 machine, and we can see the average cores is 32, so a lot of 16 core, 32 thread systems here. And there are currently 78 of these rented, 57 unrented. And the average rental price is $1.35 a day. You can do that math to get down to that hourly rate, if that's what you're trying to get to. But this kind of shows you, this also shows you the platforms that all the GPUs are on, too. So if we come in here and we clear our filter and we take a look at like the A10s, the A100s, the A100Xs, the A10Gs, the A40s, the A800s, all of these you're going to notice they're only on VAST. Now there is somebody that does have a A100 SXM card in a server on on Okta rather, and that currently is not rented. But if we take a look at what is on VAST, we can see there's actually quite a bit. There's 22 of those on VAST. 17 of those are rented. 5 are unrented. Based on that, and the average price is about $20 a day, $21 a day with that card. Now, this kind of gives you an indication of, oh, if I have this card, I'm probably not going to put it on Clore or on Okta, because right now the unrented price on Okta is $11. But over on VAST, the ones that are rented, it has a $20 average price for what is rented. Now, unrented is about $13, so you could undercut that market a little bit and still be above that $11 over on Okta. And it just kind of gives you an idea of if there's already some cards supported on given platforms, that'll kind of show you over here what platforms all this data is being aggregated from for those specific cards. It is a full inclusive list of everything coming from the platforms. It is not an inclusive list of every GPU in existence. So just keep that in mind. If you don't see a card, it doesn't mean it's not supported. It just means nobody has put it on there yet. So if we take a look at something like the A1000, there are currently no A1000s on any of the platforms. So you're not going to see that. Same thing if we try like an A400. I used to have an A400 over on Clore, I believe. It was a long time ago. It's not on there anymore. So you can see there are no A400s on any platforms. There are A4000s though over there. And so we're seeing the A4000s. Now hopping on over to the individual stats section. So there's going to be a section for each platform. If we go to the VAST section, and it may take a minute to load. This is doing real-time retrievals of data from the various platforms. So just keep that in mind when you're in here. You're going to see an individual breakdown of basically every machine that is available to be rented or is already rented. So this would be just like you going to the UI, searching for a system and what you would see that you could rent on the fly. And so what you might notice here is if we just take a look at these first two here. So you'll notice we've got the owner ID. So if we sort by the owner ID, or group by it rather, we can actually see what systems a specific person may have. And so that's what we're seeing here. And if you notice, all of these have the same ID. And what that means is this specific person will allow you to rent 1 card at a time, 2 cards at a time, or 7. Most likely his system has 7 in it. And so, or it could potentially have 10, not sure of his exact configuration, but he's basically allowing you to rent 7 at a time, 2 at a time, or 1 at a time. And based on that configuration that you rent from that ID, you're going to get kind of that equivalent CPU processing power, and you're going to pay this rate, right? So if you just want one, you'll pay for around 15 cents an hour or so. This one you'll pay 29 cents an hour. This you'll pay a little bit over $1 an hour. So all the prices here are from the perspective of whatever pricing strategy the platform applies. So if they apply an hourly strategy, you're going to see hourly prices here. You're also going to be able to see the reliability, all of that. Now I talked about how VAST doesn't distinguish between an A2000 and a 2012 gig on the model name, but there's another way you can do it. So my platform allows for infinite grouping. So what we can do is we can come over here and we can do a contains on A2000, and then I can group by the VRAM. And then you're going to see in here, okay, these are all the systems that have VRAM of 11 gigs is essentially the 12 gig card. And then VRAM 5 gig, this is the 6 gig cards. I can come over here. I can collapse the 6 gigs because I don't really care about those. But I can come over here and I can see, okay, we've got all but one are rented right now. So that is good to see. And you can kind of see the RAM for each of those systems, the CPU cores, the actual processor model, and then what the upload download bandwidth is, what the price is, what the reliability score is. And so this kind of gives you an idea. And then once again, if you wanted, let's say that owner ID. So let's say I wanted this one here. I could come over here and I could filter on just that owner ID. And I can say, okay, the only system that he currently has on the platform is actually that A2000. And then if we wanted to come to somebody else, let's say, let's just grab, we'll grab this owner ID because this should give us a handful of systems. We can come up, say owner ID is equal to that, hit filter, and we're going to see all their machines. And then we can group by ID if we want, so we can see their separate offerings. So for each of these separate IDs, these are actually independent machines. You can see this person has quite a bit out there. However, not the best processors, right? So they've got a G3930 that has 8 A2000s in it, possibly a mining rig there. And so we're able to see that information here. And then similarly, if we hop on over to, let's just go over to Clore, you're going to kind of see the same thing once it loads here. And Clore's API is a little bit different. It does show you the cores and the threads. So if you want to see kind of those real numbers, especially with like a modern Intel CPU where they have the efficiency cores, you'll be able to see that breakout here. But the data, again, is still very similar. You can always sort or group based on any of the fields, including like the GPU RAM. And then if it's a mixed rig, because Clore does support mixed rigs, it'll just say 5 by mixed GPUs. Won't tell you the actual model. So you'd have to grab those IDs and hop on over and dig a little bit further to figure out what those specific cards were. But at a glance, this gets you basically the various platforms. Like I said, I've got QuickPod on here. I've got Okta. Now, the important thing with Okta, if we hop on over to that one, that you're going to notice is it's unrented only. Their API does not have rented stats in it. So I can't actually tell what GPUs are rented, but I can tell which ones are available and that are unrented. And so that's kind of this layout. It's a little bit smaller in what you see, but it's still kind of the same thing. So you see the total CPU threads, you see the processor it has, you see the RAM, you see the GPU configuration, and you see the price and the reliability score. And then if we hop on back over to GPU rental summary, if you're just curious, what's the current best earning GPUs on any of the platforms, we come over here and we can say average rented price, and we can sort this descending. And you can see that there's actually somebody that has an 8x B200. And so this is a phenomenal GPU, obviously, extremely expensive, but there are actually 5 of these configurations on the platform, 2 of which are rented. The average price is just over $750 a day, with the lowest rented price being $610 and the highest rented price being $903. Well, obviously, there's a pretty big gap there. But those are over on Vast, and we can see the unrented prices are between 903 and 1.35K. So obviously that's why those aren't rented. They're basically starting. The lowest price is the highest of what's already rented. So if they were to drop the price on some of those unrented ones, they likely would get rented. But that kind of gives you an idea of what a B200 system would pull in. What a H200 system pull in, H100. And then this one's pretty crazy. There is a 32 card 4090 setup over there on Vast, and there's only one of them. It is rented, and it pulls in about $369 a day. So that's a pretty sick setup. That's a lot of GPUs to have on one system. And then if we take a look at like a 4x B200 versus an 8x, you can see that's pulling in about 305. One of those is rented, 3 of those is unrented, which kind of lines up with the 3 up here. And moving down, you can see we've got an 8x RTX Pro 6000. These are the new Blackwell workstation cards. Again, you've got 8 of those, 210 a day, and there are 3 setups like that on Vast. All 3 of those are rented, between 204 and 217 a day. Those are all rented. You can see A100, you can see like a 2x200, and then just moving down the list, you're going to see like L40Ss, the RTX 6080A, the last generation ones. Some of those are rented. But this just kind of gives you an idea of like, if you're looking and you're considering building a machine, I always recommend using hardware you already have. But if this is something that you want to pursue long term, this is definitely a good tool for you guys to at least check out. There's no cost or anything involved in it. I do have donation links if you want to support it at all, but those are purely optional. There's no restricted functionality in this. It's hosted over on the website. It's as long as the website's up, this will probably be up. Granted, it is dependent on the existing APIs that these platforms are running. So if at any point they change their APIs and I'm not made aware of that, it may cease to operate, may cease to work. But we can always readjust it and get things situated and working again. And so if we hop on over and we sort by min, and then the other thing I wanted to point out here is if you wanted to undercut the market, you can look at this min unrented price. You're going to see some of these are 0. This is because these are all set to less than a cent. And so I don't have this set up to get down that many decimal places on the summary, but I do over on the detail page. So those are all like really, really low on the price. I probably would just kind of skip over those unless you've got free power or whatever and you just want to throw them on there just to see what they can do. But for the most part here, starting down here, it's kind of what you're looking at. You can see like a 1x 1060 6 gig. There's actually one of those rented, one unrented. So they actually have this rented at what appears to be about 25 cents a day. And again, these are daily prices. So any of the ones up here that we're showing $0, these are essentially, now some of these you're going to see, there are no unrented. So these are actually all rented. So if we scroll down, that's why you're seeing that $0 there. And then if we come down here, you can kind of see there are 12 4070s supers that are unrented, but there's 22 that's rented. This is an example of there are none rented. The P2000, this is the Pascal series. So this is the Quadro from like the 10 series of GPUs. Really old, like the 1060 series. So that's the P2000, which was the entry-level workstation card. For the most part, I think they had a P400 and a P1000, a little bit below that. But that's only pulling in 19 cents a day, and it's unrented. There are no rented ones on there. You can kind of see the 3060s. And moving down, you'll see the 1060. There's one rented, one unrented, and it's about 25 cents a day. But this kind of just gives you an idea of if you've got some hardware, you want to see what it would make, you can basically filter down to that. Just make sure you do a contains. So you'll select this drop down, do contains, and then enter in your model number, hit enter, and it will kind of pre-filter that out for you. And then, so let's just take as a final quick example here. Once this loads, let's just grab, let's see if there are any, let's just do 1060s. So there actually are 1063 gigs. There's actually one that's rented, which is interesting on Clore. But let's just take what we've got over on Vast. So there's one rented, two unrented on a 2x. And then on a 1x, we've got 2 rented, 6 unrented. So if we hop on over to the Vast section and we do that same filter, so it loads here. And we do a contains on the 1060. We can see the individual breakdown of the cards. So now if I do a group on the GPU model, we can see the 1x systems. So the systems that only have one 1060 in them, what they are, what their stats are, right? So this is what they're looking to get an hour for those GPUs, and then this is the breakdown of what's rented and what's not rented. So summary page gets you just kind of like an overall aggregate for the cards, for the GPUs. And then when you go to the other pages by platform, it'll give you that detailed breakdown of, okay, what is that person actually running? How much RAM do they have in their system? How many vCores or threads do they have in that system? What's their upload and download speed? What's the actual GPU configuration? Things like that. And then we can also, from that, we can also derive like the owner, right? So if I then group by owner, we can see this person, all right? They've got 2 offerings on that. This one also has 2 offerings, and these are different machine IDs, which means these are 2 completely different systems. You can see actually in both of these cases, they're different processors altogether. So this person actually has a Xeon E5 2697 V4 with a 1060 in it. It's a 1063 gigs, interesting setup. And then this, their other system is also in their 1063 gig with 2673 V3 in it. And then you can see we've got another person. They've got, again, Xeon with a 6 gig 1060 in it and another Xeon with 1060 in it. And then all these people, they just have one system, the 1060 in it. And if we scroll down to the 2x, we can see this has basically 2 systems, and they're both V4s here. They've got 2 1063 gigs in each of those systems. So this is just a little tool that I put together, threw out there. If you guys are into AI, if you're providing compute, providing your hardware to these networks, and you're looking for a way to kind of see, maybe you're on the edge of building a system, maybe you already have some components, looking to see, is it going to be worth it currently? This isn't any type of projection. It could change tomorrow, could go down, could go up. There's really no predictability to this other than it's all purely based on supply and demand. And the more unrented systems there are on the network, the chances are the revenue is going to get lower and lower and lower because you're going to have a lot of people undercutting the market. However, if you hop on over the summary page and you see that your GPU is kind of fully rented, then there's an opportunity there that you can provide more supply where they have higher demand and they don't have enough supply. So something like an A100X, right? If you had one of those, you would want to put it on VAST because there's only one out there and it's already rented. So just a little tool throughout there. Hope you guys like it.